sandwich and you eat it. You eat it. Then you take the sandwich and you eat it. You eat it. Very good. All right. So, that's an example of American culture, right? Then you can introduce other recipes. How many of you are a fan of sushi? Any sushi lovers out there? Okay. Oh, it's on YouTube. You can practice this at home if you want. It's on YouTube. You can introduce another recipe. Sushi, maki sushi. Okay? And you introduce new food, right? New actions, spread, lay, roll. And then you can have students put that into the same target structure. And then they can make a new song, right? Which is the maki, maki sushi with soy sauce. Okay? Why don't you sing it with me and say each line. Ready? Maki, maki sushi with soy sauce. One at a time. First you take the rice and you spread it. You spread it. Then you take the fish and you lay it. You lay it. Then you take the seaweed and you roll it. You roll it. Then you take the maki and you cut it. You cut it. Then you take the soy sauce and you dip it. You dip it. Then you take the sushi and you eat it. You eat it. All right, so that's an example of international target culture. But then, of course, there's that source culture, the home culture. And so then students can create a new song with a dish from their culture. What songs could you make up? Food from your country or culture. Souvlaki song. All right, so by the way, you know, how many of you have your students work in groups and then they present their results in the class? Okay, now what happens when you do that? Oftentimes, the students are up presenting and the other students aren't paying attention at all. Okay, so you can make it into a game by starting out with and then you sing each line of the song. Other students have to listen and guess, what food is this? What dish is this? Okay, are you ready? Let's try it. Ready? Okay, say this with me line by line. Ready? First you take the pita and you fry it. You fry it. Then you take the meat and you grill it. You grill it. Then you take the meat and you cut it. You cut it. Then you take the onions and you chop them. You chop them. Then you take the tomato and you slice it. You slice it. Then you take the tzatziki and you spread it. You spread it. Then you take the pita and you wrap it. You wrap it. Then you take the and you eat it. You eat it. What is this song? Souvlaki, or the pita, pita, pita. So yummy. All right, here we go. All right, thank you. Okay, I have 10 minutes left, so we're going to keep going, keep going. So did you enjoy the activity? The point being, right, we're trying to also, in English, get students to express their own culture in English, valuing their own culture. And something I always tell students, at the university, I used to teach for teachers a course called Intercultural Communication. And I always tell my teachers, you know, that you cannot know everything there is to know about every culture around the world. Not only are there too many cultures, but culture is dynamic and it's changing, right? It's never the same. And you can't guess what are the things of a culture that are going to change in the future or that are going to stay the same. So the most successful way to communicate interculturally is, of course, if you can express the beautiful, wonderful things about your culture in English and share it to someone else who can do the same for you. All right? And so this, I said before, is a commonly used approach, but I think that encourages a separation between what's local and what's global. Meaning, if you just see English as something other people are using and you need to learn that instead of something that is an expression of your own culture, then you're not going to be able to see the connection. Sometimes students, our young learners, don't see that. And we want our students to see that link between local and global and know they are English speakers and can communicate things that are important to others. Okay, so this is the old way. We need to move ahead. Of course, this also is the old way to look at it, right? Because why are we just putting the inner circle countries and their culture at the center, right? It's not. It is dispersed now, and that is the way the 21st century is. All right, so to conclude this part, we want to explore their own world and culture with our students. We want to explore other people, other places, and other cultures. The goal is, of course, that we want our students to be able to care about and protect each other and our planet. Something that you have to know as educators is that students or people can't care about something until they first know about it. And so it's our role as educators to teach our students about other people, other cultures. The hope is that we're going to be able to inspire them through English, right, to contribute to our world. Okay? Now there are other, of course, skills. I was talking about ways of living in the world. I just want to touch upon ways of thinking really quickly. Okay? And Alvin Toffler, the futurist, said that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Okay, and that is because of this nature of our 21st century. It's ever-changing, there's innovation, it's fast-paced. And so that's why we need to be able to get our students to be able to think more critically, right? So we can pose problems to them in class to discuss. Okay, here's a problem. Okay, even students as young as third graders can think about this problem. Okay, so take a look. This is a Google map. You use Google Maps, right? Okay, so if you see Africa here and Greenland here, would you agree that they look about the same size? Right? Okay, but in actuality, this is an app that's pretty cool. It's called Map Fight. Right? You can put any country or continent in red, any country or continent in blue, and then Map Fight. See who's bigger and by how much. Okay, so if you put in Africa and Greenland, this is the reality. Africa is actually almost 14 times larger than Greenland. Okay, so why is that Google map so off? Or why do Africa and Greenland here look about the same size but not here? Why? I mean, or I should say, do you care? Yeah, does anyone have an idea about why that is the case? Yes, sir.
I think the projection could be used for the mercatorial projection. It's map maker 16th century map maker who came up with this shape. Some people say that it's Eurocentral because it's based in the northern hemisphere.
Yes, yes, yes. And so, did you understand what he was saying about the Mercator projection? You couldn't hear? Okay, so he was talking about, I'll explain it because he's absolutely right. I should give you a prize. You can come see me later. Yes, yes. And part of the reason is that, first of all, what cuts through the middle of our Earth? What is that line called? The equator. Is the equator at the center of this map? Where is it? Here. So that's the first problem, right? And in fact, he's right. He was talking about this Mercator projection, Mercator line, which actually, do you see how that is the center here? This projection was created by Europeans when they were coming over here, or not over here, going over there to North America, right, for navigation. But it's an old line projection to create a map. But what happens is, when you put the cut in the middle right here, is it makes everything down here look smaller and everything up here look bigger. Some people think it is a conspiracy to make everything here for Europeans and North Americans look bigger than they really are, and everything down here looks smaller. Whether or not you think it's a conspiracy, would you agree that if you are a young person and you're from this part of the world, that might change your perspective of who you are and your place in the world? Okay? So in fact, that's an issue. Okay? And so this is actually a headline that was from last year, which is that finally, this is, in the US, Boston Public Schools map switch aims to amend 500 years of distortion. Look in your textbook. Why are we still using maps that don't accurately depict what's happening in our world? So again, the world is rapidly changing. Our perspectives are changing. Information you get on the internet can change, and it can change a child's perspective of who they are and their place in the world. So communication in the 21st century also requires skills to interpret information correctly. Okay, I'm going to add one more thing to that. Yeah, 0 minutes left. Visual. Okay. How about 5 minutes, and then I'll be done. Is that okay? How do you feel about 5 more minutes? Yes, okay. So, visual information. Sorry, I'm so controlling. Okay. So, visual information is so important, like maps, right? But there's other information that we depict visually. In fact, we see visuals everywhere we go, right? Photos, illustrations, signs, symbols, cartoons, advertisements, magazines, maps, charts, graphs, diagrams, timelines, tables, slideshows, videos, websites, billboards. Everywhere around us, we're bombarded by visual images. In fact, the information we as human beings take in is 80 to 90% visual. Okay, so though we are interested in teaching our students how to read, write, and use English, we also have to think about how are we getting them to do that with also the visuals that are intact in those texts. Keep in mind that we as human beings are very visual. Before we were using print, text to communicate with each other, we were using images, right? These are the Lascaux caves in France. Before we used language, we tried to say something to each other using pictures. Okay? And brain-based research shows that we read non-text 60,000 times faster than text, which means that if you want to communicate something to someone in the 21st century and you want to post something, what are you going to use? Just text? No, visuals with text. You know, you're on Facebook or Instagram or any kind of social media. You see the thing that catches your eye with the video or images will get you to click on it. And so we need to enhance our critical thinking skills to interpret visual images as well. So for example, advertising. You can do this in any class at almost any level, right? Bring in images. Have students bring in images of advertising. And then you learn to be an ad detective. So for example, do you think advertisers know that you read images 60,000 times faster than text? You bet they do, right? Because they're trying to get you to spend your money on them. Okay, so they use group pressure. And that shows lots of young people, each with their own mobile phone message. Everyone has a mobile phone, you need one too. Or association they use. Everyone looks happy and healthy in the ad. They're cool and beautiful too. Message. If you buy the product, you will be happy and cool like these people, We're all susceptible to that. So for example, you see this image, right, of Pepsi in the new skinny can. What message are you getting from Pepsi? If you drink that, you be skinny too. Not just skinny, but sexy, right? Right, that's Sofia Vergara from Modern Family. So the idea is you want your students, this is a very important skill. Think critically about who's responsible for the ad. Who's the advertiser selling the product to? Do you want to buy the product and why? What techniques does the ad use? Does it use group pressure, association, testimonial, a celebrity, an attractive person, time pressure? And what does the ad say or suggest about the product? Now, that's important, but here's what. This is what's more important, is that the advertiser already knows that you know that it is important to be skinny. It's already making an assumption about you, that this is how you want to and should look. And isn't that actually down deep the thing that we want to teach our students? Is that these images are affecting the way that they see themselves and who they are. And that should they be pressured to look like that, and then to be persuaded to buy that to look like that. That's really, in the end, our role as educators, not just to think critically to this level, but down deeper for how we really want our students to live and learn. So, our learners, not just consumers, but producers of information, right? That is the change in the 21st century. They're putting things online, they're producing. And so a visually literate person should also be able to read and write visual images. So in your classroom, that is another thing you should encourage. So I'm going to end with just this last project. It's a wiki project where we had classrooms connected from Brazil to Belarus. And students were able to create things to communicate about themselves, their class, school, city, country, to another class in another country. So this was the model I gave. This is Benji, right? Writing a picture, and then I'm a boy, I speak English, I like new toys and Legos, I like jumping on my bed, I love chocolate ice cream. You want to see what the kids from Belarus and Brazil did? Some wrote the same thing. My name is Jenya, I'm from Belarus, I'm 9, I study at gymnasium number 12, I like reading, dancing, and meeting with my friends, Jenya. The students in Brazil wanted to communicate differently. They took selfies, they posted text, they posted audio, they posted video. You want to see a short video? All right, so here we go.
Where are you from? I'm from Brazil. Okay. How old are you?